which part of the brain is responsible for maintaining balance and equilibrium? So something to consider when you're studying the neurosystem is this type of a diagram of the brain and how the brain could be separated into separate lobes or sections, and they each involve different functions of the body. So just for reference, because this is frontal, this would be the front. So think of the person's eyes, face, the front of their face would be over here. And then over here, the occipital, cerebellum, brainstem, this section would be kind of like the back of the head. Just so here you can orient where everything is. So we could go through all the options, locate where they are, go through the functions that they do so we could best answer this question. So option A is the cerebellum. So the cerebellum, as we could see, is the purple located in the back here. Some people remember the cerebellum by remembering that it kind of looks like a bun low in someone's head. So if you have like a person here, and this is the hair, and then you have like a bun in the back there on a person, that's your cerebellum. And that could also help you to remember the function of the cerebellum. If you think of someone who wears a bun, you could think of, okay, like a ballerina wears a bun. I know usually it might be on the top of their head, but just for this example, we could say they're wearing it lower on the bottom. And what does a ballerina need to do in order to perform properly? They have to have good balance, right? They have to stay balanced, and they have to have good posture and stay in order like that. And that could help you remember that the function of the cerebellum is balance and equilibrium. And therefore, that would be the answer to this question. Cerebellum is responsible for balance and equilibrium. And therefore, if there's a patient that didn't have good balance and they were walking kind of unsteadily, you may be suspicious that there's an issue with the cerebellum. But let's go through the other choices and where they would be located on this brain structure and what they do. So option B is the cerebrum. And the cerebrum is located over a few different parts of this brain structure here. So they have areas in the frontal lobe, and the parietal lobe, and the temporal lobes, and the occipital lobe. And the reason it has so many different places is because the cerebrum is very important for higher brain functioning. It's involved in decision making, planning, movement, personality, and that would all be located in the frontal section, but also in this parietal lobe, they have responsibilities for processing sensory information like touching something, and spatial awareness, meaning judging, is something close, is it near, how far apart are different things. There's involvement in the temporal lobe, which are the sides right here, and it's involved in hearing, memory, and language, and also in the back, the occipital, for vision. So occipital, you might remember that's related to eyes, vision over here. So very important, takes up many different parts of the brain here, but this question's asking about specifically balance and equilibrium. And the cerebrum, although it has many different functions, not balance and equilibrium, that is mostly involved here in the cerebellum. Option C is the medulla oblongata. And the medulla oblongata is located as part of the brainstem, which is here. And these are the very important, vital, basic functions of human life, such as breathing and heart rate. So someone who might be like unconscious, totally not hearing anything that's happening, or very limited hearing and isn't really involved in many other functions of the body, but still alive because the heart is beating and they're breathing, that's the brainstem. That's what's keeping the person to be alive. That's the most basic function needed to be living. And that would not be the answer to this question because it's talking about balance and equilibrium. So we can eliminate option C. And then lastly, the pons. This is located above the medulla, so it's also part of the brainstem like the medulla oblongata, and this would be responsible for also important functions, not as vital, basic as just breathing and heart rate, but also important to simple human functions, such as sleeping and facial movements. That would be what the pons would be responsible for. So we can eliminate that. And then we're left with option A, the cerebellum, responsible for balance and equilibrium.